Okay, I'm going to show you guys how I cut the applique piece that I showed in my Facebook group yesterday on a Brother Scan and Cut DX225. My secret that helps me cut fabric on there so nicely is this product. It's called Madeira Applique Magic. It's paper on one side that peels off, and this side has an adhesive side to it. So all you do is take whatever size fabric that you need to cut for your applique and cut a piece of the Madeira Magic, Applique Magic, the same size. Put the fabric that you need on top of it and iron it on. It just takes a couple of minutes, not even a few minutes actually, to iron it on like that. And when you take it over to the scan and cut, you're going to want to leave that paper backing on. And that's the side that we're going to put down onto the mat, onto the scan and cut mat. So it's all on. Back looks like that. It just feels like paper. Front is nice and smooth and completely adhered to the applique magic. It almost makes it like paper somewhat. So let's go over to the scan and cut and I'll show you guys how I cut it out. Okay, here's our scan and cut mat, and here is our fabric with the applique magic applied. We're just gonna stick it down to the mat. Really good. Sometimes they stick really well and sometimes they don't. So I have a little secret to these scan and cut mats is I usually put a little bit of Scotch tape on the edges just to hold it down a little bit better. It doesn't seem to bother the mat or anything, but it does help to hold it down really, really well. And I do have a roller that I can roll it with. Also, this nice little tool from Brother that helps it stick even better. All right, so we have it on the mat. All nice and stuck, and we're going to take it to the machine. Now I am using the standard tack adhesive mat from Brother for fabric, because this mat is great for cutting things like fabric, thicker substrates, so like poster board, flannel, felt, denim, plastic sheets, vinyl, magnets, anything that needs to be stuck a little bit more, you use the standard tack sheet for. The other one, the low tack sheet, is great for paper. I've only ever used it for thin paper type stuff. And to cut this fabric, there are two different blades. I'm using the Brother Scan and Cut DX225, the newer model that has the auto blades. You don't have to adjust the pressure or the depth of the blade or anything like that. It just can automatically sense the settings. And there are two auto blades. One has a black top and one has a beige top. The black auto blade is used for cutting paper, cardstock, vellum, poster board, fabric. Some thinner fabrics some thicker fabrics can do the black blade also. You can use the black blade. Vinyl, I cut vinyl with the black blade, but this one is actually called a thin fabric auto blade, and I really like that one to cut fabric with. So that's the one that we're going to put in the machine. It's really easy. You just snap it in and lock it down. And that's it. Okay, so we have the mat loaded into the machine. We have the design that we want to cut loaded into the machine. The Brother Scan and Cut allows you to scan whatever it is you have attached to the mat or stuck to the mat so that you can move your design right on the area that you need it. For me, it's a lot less waste and a little quicker than trying to just guess where it might go and do all the traces I used to have to do with my other machine. So this is the scan button. You just press it and it's going to scan the mat and show it as a background on this screen. It just takes a little while. It runs it through the machine and back. I know you can probably hear it a little bit. and it's going to pop up on the screen and show you what the mat looks like. This blue piece is the blue fabric that we just stuck to the mat a few minutes ago, and here is the design that I want to cut. So we just click on it and we drag it right over the area on the fabric that we want to cut, and we press OK. So we know it's in place now. Now this is the Scan and Cut DX225. Like I said, it has auto blade. So we're going to select what we want to do, and that is cut. And that's pretty much all we have to do. You don't have to set the pressure or the speed. Half cut is the only thing I need to change when I'm cutting vinyl. I turn that on. Other than that, I really don't do anything else except press start. So I am going to move the camera a little bit over so you can watch it cut. I'll be right back. Okay, so now all we have to do is press start, and it is going to cut out the shape that we loaded into it. That sound is the auto blade measuring the depth that it needs to cut at. It's really quiet too. It's a lot quieter than the other machine was. I had the Scan and Cut 650 before this one, but I really like this one. And I tape down the edges just to be safe. So we got to get that tape off. But you'll see how nice it cut. This piece of fabric that goes into our applique. And we still have the paper on the back of it. So we're going to take it over to the embroidery machine, and I will show you how easy it is to add this to the applique that we're making. Okay, we have the 6x10 applique frame from A Stitch in Time Designs loaded into the machine. We're going to go ahead and stitch out the placement stitch that we need to put the piece of fabric that we just cut on the Scan and Cut in. So that's all it's going to stitch. I'm just stitching this on plain white cotton fabric with a cutaway stabilizer behind it. That's how I hoop almost everything that I sew. This is just a sample to show you guys how to do it, so I'm not actually putting it on anything. But it's just going to stitch out. The first stitch that stitches out is just a placement line. So if you're putting this on a tote bag or a blanket or a wall hanging or a quilt or something, you would hoop that the same way I did this and stitch out this placement line directly onto the item that you're putting it on. Okay, so now we have the placement stitch, and we have the piece of fabric that we cut out with the Applique Magic. You're just going to peel off the paper from the back side. Applique Magic is sticky, so it's going to stick to our fabric right where we need it. We don't have to tape it in place or anything. It should fit perfectly. One side of this is a little tiny bit shorter than the other, so it only goes one way. Turn in the right way and place it right inside of those lines and smooth it down. And that's it. It's going to stay in place while it stitches. You just put it back on the machine and start to stitch your applique, and you can add whatever you want in the center, a monogram, an embroidery design, whatever it is you want to add in the center. But the next thing that's going to stitch, and with this particular design, it has a number 2 color change that would be the same stitch as this. It's going to go all the way around. If you didn't have a cutter, you would just have a square piece of fabric placed here and taped in place, and it would stitch that line down, and then you could go back with the little scissors and trim it all. But in this case, we're going to skip that step because we don't need it. We already have the fabric cut and it's stuck in place. We're going to take it back to the machine and sew the zigzag stitch along the edge to tack it down, and then the beautiful satin stitch edge. Okay, it sewed a zigzag stitch all the way around to tack it down. Now it's coming back with an edge stitch, which will help to make the satin stitch really nice and even on the end. It's going to sew an edge stitch on the inside of the zigzag and again on the outside of the zigzag. This makes for cleaner lines in a satin stitch. You see that? How it's making that inside edge right there? just going to come back and do the outside edge. And there you go. See how nice and clean the edges are when you don't have to trim it in the hoop by hand? The Scan and Cut cuts the edges so neatly that it doesn't leave any of those little frayed edges, especially when you use Applique Magic or something similar on the back of the fabric. Okay. Now our applique is finished. The satin stitch is nice and pretty all around it. You can use this on a pillow, a tote bag, a blanket, pretty much anything that you want. You can embroider a monogram in the center, like I said. Use it in this way, which is the way it was kind of meant to be. We just have to stitch it out this way because of the shape of the hoops, but this is actually how it was meant to be. You can put a family name in there, your last name or whatever, and the date that your family started, which is nice, or anniversary date or anything. You can use this for lots of things. And you can find this design, it fits in a 6x10 hoop, on my website at astitchintimedesigns.com. Thanks.